poet, I make sense of my life through story. And I have a real passion for folk tales. But today I wanted to tell a personal story. I was looking at the theme of beneath, between and beyond. And I think that it really is about the internal, personal context, but you're also shaped by the people who came before you and the context that you live in and whatever's happening around you and what you're hoping for. I grew up in Uganda. I was the last born of 5 children. My parents both went to university. They worked very hard. And in 1971, Idi Amin, he became president. The whole world celebrated. Little did we know how lives were going to change. And about 4 years later, there was an impact on our lives. 11 years old, and afraid we've lost my father forever. 3 days ago, he was taken from his office to Naguru. Zubuga came home driving like a maniac. He told Mummy. And now, the house is full of people that we keep serving tea. Are they praying for him? Are they mourning him? Are they planning ways to bring him back? My heart is heavy. I retreat to the only room that I can be alone, the bathroom. And as I run the water, I remember Mummy saying calmly on that first day, "Your father has been taken, but don't worry, we'll be all right." I believe her. She was later allowed to go and see him, and when she returned, she said, "Your father said he loves you. He said no matter what happens, you must walk with your head held up high. He has done nothing wrong." Tears roll down my face, and the comforting warmth of the water enfolds me. I look at the velvety skies through the frosted glass window. Light blue, deeper blue, purply blue. It's dusk. God made this time specially. God, I say in our special time alone, God, please let Daddy come home today. I'm praying for all of us, Mummy, Maliza, Estella, Faye, Chris, and me. Finished, I look up. The sky is now dark, and my fingers old and wrinkled. I put on my pajamas and walking down the stairs, headlights sweeping to the driveway. I can hear the pounding in my chest as I peer through the French windows. A white Datsun with UVS number plates stops in front of the house. The doors open, and out he comes. "Daddy!" I shout and start opening the door. Behind him, a dark man follows. "Shh!" say the adults, pushing me aside. I don't know their fear, but many have been returned, only to be taken again or killed. "Daddy!" I shout, pushing them aside and hugging him. We are wrapped in velvety skies. The man in the shadows looks on. "You're happy to see your daddy?" he asks. Silently, we walk into the house and lock the door. Daddy is back. Black turns to velvet. 2 years later, it was time to go to high school. Now, the best high schools were boarding schools. And so, in Uganda, where I grew up, you looked forward to going to boarding school. The boarding school I went to was called Gayaza. Mama took me to Gayaza on that first day. It was a coming of age I could hardly wait for. That afternoon, suitcase packed, tuck box full of roasted peanuts, homemade cookies, sugar, milk. I jumped in, and the car refused to start. Daddy in Addis Ababa, Uncle Dennis and Uncle Patrick still at work. I held back the tears. It was the first day. As the sun began to set, the car miraculously started. "Why don't we go tomorrow?" she asked. "I really want to go today," I said. So we packed the car again, torch in the glove box, Uncle Patrick next to Mummy, and off we went. It was almost dark by the time we got there. The dorms were lit and abuzz. I was there on the first day. She returned home under the warm, dark blanket of the night. Weeks later, Estella told me, as they drove home, as they turned round the corner between Chibuli and Chisubu, the headlights shone on a pickup truck parked by the side of the road, and then, like spotlights, on soldiers urinating by the roadside. She quickly dimmed the light. "Simama!" they shouted, and pulled her out of the car with a slap. "How dare you shine your lights on us while we help ourselves?" They took the torch, shoved Uncle and Mummy back into the car, and said, "Drive, and if we catch you, only God knows what will happen." She drove like a madwoman on the dusty road, past the church, and as they got to the tar road, a pickup truck appeared. "It's not the same one," Uncle said. "It's all right." She got home safe and sound on that day and never said a word to spoil my first day. A few months later, the Archbishop was killed. Life in Uganda became difficult, and because I have a brother and sister who had cerebral palsy, my mother decided it was time for us to leave. She didn't want there to be trouble with the children, so we left the country. And for the first time in my life, our family was spread everywhere. My father was in Addis Ababa. My eldest sister, who was later diagnosed with schizophrenia, was in New York University. The second eldest had to go back to Uganda because that was the year she did her A-levels, so she had to go back to school. And my mother, my brother and sister and I were in Nairobi. And I had to go to a new school. And I started school 3 weeks before the end of term. "What tribe are you?" asked the girl in the blazer. I cocked my head to one side, creasing my brow, and looked at her. "I'm Ugandan," I said, as if that was a tribe. But before I could correct myself, I saw her interest fade. "What sports do you play?" asked another. "None," I said. Their eyes glazed over. I could have told them that I sing, like a nightingale at that, but singing is not a sport, I thought. "Why did you come?" I was beginning to think that too. But before I could answer, I heard her voice. "Do you remember me?" I looked around, and there, standing on tiptoes, was Maggie. I had looked for her at the beginning of grade 6. No one knew where she had gone. And now, here she was, saving me. "Why are you new?" she asked, looking at me over her glasses. It was my first class with Mrs. Ayot. I had never met a teacher like her. "What is your name?" she asked. "Philippa." "Anjana," she said to the girl at the desk in front of her. "Isn't it a coincidence? I have a son called Philip. He can be your boyfriend," she said to me. By now, the whole class had dissolved in giggles, and I just wanted to run. Turns out, she taught history like she had lived with Napoleon and Mussolini and had fought with the Bolsheviks, taking us on incredible journeys across the ages. And Philip was much younger. And who could complain when his mother would call me to the staff room and say, albeit too loudly, "Philippa, Philip said hello and he sent you these sweets." I slowly learned to live in this land away from home. What tribe am I? I asked myself. I'm the tribe of people displaced and families dispersed, learning to survive in new landscapes, pushing and shoving onto buses and into new destinations. No more being driven around by Mami or Mlefu. I am now the tribe of displaced children growing up overnight, wondering whether they'll find their way home in this new landscape, or if the money will be enough. Holding the bag tight as you shop for the family, being careful not to waste. No more family gatherings in Salama or trips to Mbali. No more racing with the moon with Daddy, or singing along in the car. I am now of that tribe. Why am I new? Does anybody really want to know? I'm new because we are tired of living in fear with soldiers at roadblocks saying, "Wapi density," and hearing news of archbishops being killed. We're tired of Mr. Bob's phoning and then arriving at home unannounced. No more people disappearing, never to be seen again, or running past the State Research Bureau, hoping you won't be pulled in. I am new because we're looking for places where we can be free. And I wonder, at what cost? And so I've lived in many places. So Cape Town, 2005. Moloma. Molobuti, I say. Full tank, 95. He opens the gas tank, puts in the thingy, and fires me a question, to which I respond, "Andithethe isiXhosa buti. Ndiyathetha kancinci." "How?" he says. "Uyabua. Khuluma. Shangan. Afrikaans." I shake my head with half a smile. I'm transported to another place in time. Addis Ababa, 1979. A father and daughter drive up to a bakery. Outside, a long line of people is waiting for bread. They get out of the car. She starts to walk to the back of the line, and he gently takes her to the front. The people in the line begin to murmur. The lady at the counter speaks to them abruptly in Amharic. The father takes out his red ID document. UN, it says. The murmurs in the line grow louder. They take their bread and walk back to the car, looking no one in the eye. "Sisi, are you Nigerian?" I'm rudely awakened from my reverie. "Nigerian? No, Buti. I come from Uganda." "Where?" "Uganda." I'm relieved that he makes no quick references to Idi Amin or HIV and AIDS. Only a blank stare. The blank stare takes me to another place in time, 1990, Oshakati. A young woman is standing in line, applying for a driver's license. He insists on filling in the form. "Where were you born?" "Kampala, Uganda." He looks puzzled. She spells it, he writes it down. She reads it upside down. Place of birth, city, Kampala, district, Uganda, country, Namibia. Excuse me, sir. Kampala is both the city and the district. Uganda is the country. It's not part of Namibia. Angola? No, Uganda, near Tanzania. He puts his pen down, shakes his head. Difficult case. Go to Ondangwa, and moves on to the next person. "Buti, I come from Uganda. It's near Tanzania and the DRC." "Okay," he shrugs his shoulders. 300 rands, mama. I give him the money and drive off. Thank you.